Hello, this is Mark Nicholas. I'm the owner of Manhattan Beach Studios, and welcome to part 2 of how to prepare for your live stream. Now, this one's a little bit more in depth. These are the kinds of questions we're going to ask you as we get ready to prepare for your particular show or event or project. Now, we love the concept of live streaming, but that does not always mean that we're going live. A lot of the time it means we're recording live. We're doing the edit in real time. We're adding the graphics and things like that. Now, that provides an incredible amount of time savings. And so we try to build the event in advance, and then we try to get it out to you. Now, I tried to do that today for this particular project. I have no idea how it's going to go. I have a lot of things going on here on my system. Anyway, let's get started. And I'm back. So that was a little intro that we did. These are the kinds of things we create in advance, and it's a push of a button away. You just hit a button, and there it is. So the first thing we want to talk about are your requirements. When you think about doing a video, and we think everybody in your business should be doing videos, but when we think about that video, we're thinking about a number of things. The first thing we're thinking about is your requirements. What are your goals? What are your goals and objectives? What are you trying to accomplish? Now, this could mean that you're trying to build a subscriber base, you're trying to build your own show, who knows what you're trying to do, but you should know. Are you trying to promote a product, a service, build a brand, make an introduction, provide customer service? Whatever it is, you should know in advance. We want to know if it's pre-recorded versus live. There are a lot of benefits to live, and we can do a whole episode on some of the things that live allows you to do that pre-recorded does not. On the other hand, sometimes we just record live in order to save a lot of time and a lot of money in order to get that product out sooner. And so, yeah, there are a lot of opportunities there. Usage goals. Are you planning on posting across as many sources as possible? Do you want it just on your website? Is it private? Is it public? Those are the kinds of things we'll talk about. Promo material, especially if it's live or if it's going by premiere date, we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to promote it, and maybe we throw some promo material together first. Are you looking for a different different recording at the end of this whole process? Is number 5. Because obviously, if you're looking to then cut off the beginning, delete the intermission, maybe cut some errors out, then we're going to go back in and edit the thing anyway. That's totally cool. And then many times we're going to put together some final promo pieces in order to share that video. And that'll be based on some of the content from the video. Now, moving on, up front, we talk about roles. Who's in charge of the process so that we have somebody to report to and work from, someone who can make decisions. But in particular, as we get into this process, we want to know who the person responsible for the art is. Now, a lot of the time we take on these roles, but the person who's going to help build the intro graphics and the titles, who's signing off on that stuff, so we know who are we working with and how are we putting this thing together. Planning and scripts. Who's doing the writing? Who's actually setting the agenda for this piece? Is it us? Is it you? Is it a combination? Are we doing this by meeting? And then ultimately, who's going to make the calls when it comes to what cameras are we going to use? And then lastly, crew and supporting roles. Now, crew and supporting roles means that we might want a makeup artist on site. We might want a wardrobe person. We might want a separate sound person. On the other hand, at Manhattan Beach Studios, a lot of the time we just simply do it all. It really depends on your budget and your requirements. So there you go. Those are some of the roles. And now let's get into some of the other aspects of what it means to put together some sort of a project. These are the kinds of questions that we are going to ask you as we get into this process. Once again, we built all these graphics up front. It's sometimes hard to run my own show with this volume of material, but I think we're trying to demonstrate what is ultimately possible and how easy it is for us to accomplish. So we covered requirements already. What are the requirements of your job? And we talked a little bit about agenda. What are we actually putting together? Now, many times we're going to find that the project will turn into something that looks akin to a script. And we're going to go through that part of the process, and we're going to actually enumerate each particular component. When are we doing cuts, if they're important? Are we adding PowerPoint or other slides? Where are we adding graphics and lower thirds? On the other hand, a lot of the time we wing it. We listen and we wait for the right time. And that takes practice, but we get a sense as to when is the right time to cut to a new speaker. And then we actually go from there. So in this particular project that I just showed, we're talking about graphic ads, not camera moves. And so we are ultimately working with the company in order to determine where they want to show different graphics and different slides and information pieces. And then we're going to go ahead and integrate that with our own judgment in order to put their project together. Okay. Brand and set guidelines. Now, brand and set guidelines means that we don't want to spend a lot of time trying to figure out how you want your project to look. We want you to tell us. Are you using certain colors? Are you using certain fonts? Are you in favor of certain types of looks? Where do you use black and white? Where do you use color? Now, here's an example of some brand and logo guidelines that we were provided. You could see what it's covering. It's covering everything from font to styles and variants. When do we use different fonts? How do we make them look? What colors do we pick from? Every color has to come from their color spectrum. We look at their logos and their logo information. And so all of that helps us so that when we get into this project, we're already delivering looks that look exactly the way you want them to. Okay, set guidelines. So we can do an awful lot of different kinds of sets. And so here's a set. You could see the Nick in the back with the camera, and you could see the wall that we put up that looks sort of like a brick. And if you could see, we didn't have any video I wanted to share, but you could see on the screen to the bottom right that it looks completely like brick. It's a radio set. Here's sort of a living room set, another living room set, more of a casual look inside a living room set. Here is a typical talking head type of shot. He's educating, so we use a clean background there. And then here's sort of our stage. And so you could see some of the flexibility that we offer. We do this remotely as well, and here is a set that we worked on for PCA. So brand and set guidelines. Not only what are we doing, but how do you want it to look? A lot of the time, it's really that simple. Cameras and audio planning. Now here, what we're really talking about is not necessarily how we're going to move each camera, but we want to know how many cameras do you want? How many cameras do you need? How many microphones? Are you looking for a moderator microphone? Are you going to be going out into an audience and you're going to want a handheld microphone? What are the types of things that we need to be prepared for? And how many microphones do we need? How many inputs do we need? It factors into a lot of the equipment that we need. Now, one of the really cool things that we do is that we're able to take one camera and turn it into many. So here's a camera, there's a camera. So if you want to see how I'm typing, I could just do this. Here comes another hit, right? Very simple. We can take one camera sometimes and cut multiple angles out of that, not multiple angles. We can cut multiple looks out of that camera. We can also add multiple cameras. So it's not uncommon for us to run a 2-3 camera shoot. And of that, particularly in the beauty industry, we might want one of those cameras coming down from the ceiling. We might want one of those cameras facing an audience. A lot of flexibility there. And hey, by the way, there are a couple of other fun little options. For instance, here's what the site looks like that I'm working off of. I'm trying to pick different pieces that are ready to go, and so we can cut different things in and overlays and everything else. That's about what that site looks like. And then lastly, and this is kind of fun, I can turn any cell phone into another camera. And so there you go. Just another cell phone. So if we needed another camera or somebody wanted to walk around with a different look. There we go. That's the little camera I'm using, and here are the lights and the microphone right there. But here I am. There I am Let's try to get that back in focus. And you could see how amazing it is with technology what we're able to accomplish. So a really high quality signal. There it is, see? Cell phone. And hey, I already brought it up. Graphics, pre-roll, in, outs, thirds, stingers. There is so much that we can do to add value. And in that introductory meeting, we're going to talk about what are the types of things you want. Now, on live streams especially, we will typically play something up front. And so this may be an example of something we're playing up front. And this is just looped, is all it is. It's just a loop saying, hey, stay tuned. Something's coming up pretty soon. We'd like to give everybody in an audience, in a live audience, enough opportunity to tune in first. And we want that screen to be animated so they know that something is coming up soon. It's not a dead screen or some sort of a picture. It's actually happening live. But once we get past that, we'll try to figure out whether you would like an opener. Sometimes we look for an opener. Sometimes we put the opener at the beginning, or like I did on this particular case, sometimes I'll cut that opener in a little bit later. But here's an example of an opener for my living aboard a boat. And you can see we got a little live aboard opener there. Very nice. See, simple. We do here's another opener. It's a full-on media opener that we did for Beyond Beauty School. Check this out. And there you go. Just an example of the kinds of things we'll throw together. Now, in doing so, what we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to accomplish a particular look. Sometimes we'll do something a little bit unique for each particular episode, and other times we're looking for something that will carry through your entire brand. And once we put that together, you can reuse it over and over and over again. So other forms of graphics, and when I say over and over again, sometimes we're just putting one graphic together. So here's an example of a lower third that we did. It's got a little bit of an animation, but we are working on this stuff live, and I could change this name to Billy Button. And there it is. You can actually see me make those changes. Hello, sir. You can see that every graphic we do, for the most part, is built around being able to change live. Now, here's something that's a little bit more animated that we did for Lip Bone Redding when we recorded him live here in the studio. Sometimes we're just adding little graphics on the bottom. Sometimes we're looking for things like spinners. So look up, there it is, up on this side. See? We got a little spinner of me in my youth. I just threw that together. And so we'll add little graphic elements. So there are a lot of fun things that we can do as we put the project together. Now, stingers. So a stinger is a different kind of a transition. It may be something like a transition where we're cutting into another piece, and there you go. There's no sting back. Bottom line is we're putting all of this together in advance, and it's all recyclable. Now, many businesses, many companies, many looks, they don't want all of that. Others, they want everything. And so what we're trying to do in the introductory meeting is just get a sense as to what are the types of components that we're creating so that we are ready to go. We're also working on the green screen itself. We're trying to figure out what is the look, and maybe we want to change the look, right? So a lot of choices here as we put together your graphics package. Angles, prompter, and requests. So an example of a prompter might be something like this that I think I showed earlier. Oops, wrong one. Again, it's live. You can see that we're using a prompter. Now, in this particular case, we're not just using the prompter for purposes of feeding a script. We may do that. We do that quite often. But in this particular case, we're using the prompter because we're giving Facebook comments back on the prompter. And so the talent is able to read through the Facebook comments live. Hey, Deborah from Michigan, it's good to see you. I see your question is, and respond to it. And so she's looking into the camera at all times. So prompters, there are a lot of benefits to the prompter. Other things we're thinking about here are call-ins or rewinds or something like that. Something that is particularly interesting when it comes to something you might be looking for. And we do a lot of call-ins. And so here's an example of what might be a call-in piece. Here's another, where we're waiting for a call-in. We have our system is designed so that we can bring callers in. Here's something we did a few days ago from an in quarantine project. So, you could see the two side by side. So we're always trying to do something interesting, something fun, and something that matches your brand. And one of the great things is that that we can bring everybody together and can look very news pro-like. Okay. Slides. One of the other things we're doing is we're aggregating content. And so we are able to bring in any slide, any PowerPoint presentation. We can convert anything to anything. Here's a slide from a presentation I gave myself a few years ago, looking at some of the product photography that I did. And there you go. So no limit to the content we can bring in. Here is a video I shot. So there you go. But not only can we do that, we are still integrated into the solution. So there I am sitting in the corner, or I could put myself maybe up into the other corner. All we need to do is know what are we planning for you so that we're good to go. Okay. That's the idea. We plan in advance. We understand what you want to show, how you want to show it, and we put it together. But these are our questions. Are there videos? Are there slides? Are there photos? Are there montages? What do you have? What do you want? What should we create? Titles in social media. We will always ask you for the names and the titles of the people who are involved in a project. If they're going to be on camera, we're definitely going to want to put a lower third at the bottom, something akin to what I showed for the parade, because obviously everybody likes to be credited. Everybody needs to be credited. It adds credibility to the project. It has a professional feel. So we need to know that. But we can also integrate social media. We can do it automatically where we are going out and grabbing anything that's, let's say, on a hashtag or something that can be easily identified. And it can be put either into moderation, where somebody is approving those posts before they come out, or it can be posted to the screen automatically in X number of second increments. And so we try to build all of that, and so it's all ready to go. Reliable internet. This is the idea that says if you want us to be live or you want to bring in callers, we need to know that our internet can support it. We have about a 99% success rate when it comes to being able to make a live stream work. Now, we have on occasion had problems. We had a major live stream once where we were simply placed too far away from the router with too many obstructions and metal walls and concrete walls between us and the router. There, we were able to utilize one phone and make it work. We had another live stream once where we couldn't find internet within probably a mile. Unbelievable. But and the cell phone signals were weak, but we have something called a cellular bonder, which basically allowed us to collect 5 phones and create one big signal to push that live stream up into the air. On the other hand, we have had one situation where all the cell phone towers went down, given the number of use that was happening at that location. Everybody picked up their phone at once, and it knocked their cell phone, our live stream signal off the air. So we don't always know what to expect. Those are the things that are out of our control. Like I said, a 99% success rate, but that 1% can be agonizingly frustrating. And so we do look to work together with the location to try to make sure that we have as little chance of a problem as possible. And a streaming plan. Now, we have a lot of choices for how we stream video, and we could stream not only to one source, but 2, 3, even 10 sources at one time. The challenge we face, though, is to make sure that where you are streaming is the most effective way to get to your audience. Now, churches, they may want that signal streamed everywhere. They're not looking for subscriber counts. They're looking for view counts, and they don't care what platform you're on. Other businesses may not have a whole lot of people that utilize their service on Facebook, and they may not be liked or their audience may not be connected to that page. So they may be looking to stream to YouTube. We can also embed a YouTube stream into another page very easily. And so if you want this to be hosted on your website, sometimes we'll stream to something like a YouTube or a Vimeo where that can be then embedded, and it can only be watched by you and your audience on your site. But we want to walk through that process early on. We talk about the pros and the cons of each particular platform. We talk about our potential capabilities for in the event that you don't want to stream to another site, if you want an RTMP server or something like that. And so what we'll do is we'll work with you to try to figure out what the right solution is for your streaming. Okay? So that pretty much wraps up in 20 minutes or less everything that we're going to talk about when it comes to putting together your stream. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to put together your show your way. And if we do it right, if we do the setup time correctly in advance, we're in a fantastic position to do that over and over and over again. Once we design the titles, we simply go in, we change the title for that next episode. Okay? So that's what we do for a live stream. That's our planning process. Those are the questions we're going to ask, and that's what we can do. In the meantime, continue to subscribe, continue to come to us. If you've got any questions, we're always here. We're on email all day. We answer our phones all day, and we're looking to connect. So that's it. Mark Nicholas, Manhattan Beach Studios, and we'll see you again.